Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and some great news has actually come. We've actually gotten the update for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 players that actually makes it so camos are actually obtainable, because before the challenges to get them were simply absurd, and they've actually been changed to how they are on the Xbox One on the PlayStation 4, whereas these people can actually go ahead and get their camos, which is pretty nice. It's finally happened about a week later than everyone else, and that's really kind of what I want to talk about in this video. It's almost like a vent in a way, but it's like I'm not venting to you guys, I'm not angry at you guys or anything like that. I'm angry at the game developers and why this has even become a thing. Like, why is it that the Xbox One people and the PlayStation 4 people, and keep in mind that I'm an Xbox One player, so it doesn't really affect me, but it affects the community as a whole. Why is it that the people that played on the 360 and the PlayStation 3 had to wait over a week to get an update that everyone else has already had? I wonder why that took so long. Everyone was starting to get mad about it. Like in the comments of all my videos I was posting during that week, they're like, yeah, we still don't have that update. We still don't have that update. Now, I've been periodically asking people on Twitter, it's like, do you guys get that update yet? It seems like the most random of things. Like, apparently they did the fix that made it so the chat, like when someone would talk in the game chat, it would like show up on your screen and their name would just take up like a third of your screen. It was so big. Apparently they fixed that, but they didn't go ahead and fix the actual camo challenges or anything like that, which is like the really big thing that a lot of people really wanted to see fixed right away. So these camos were like impossible to get under the old requirements, you know? And it bothers me that everyone else had to wait so long, because Sledgehammer Games has come out so many times, right? And they've said this so many times, that this game, Advanced Warfare, is being made by the fans for the fans. And so far, I really haven't seen a whole lot of that, especially if you consider the fact that the Wii U just doesn't get a game. You do not get a game if you own the Wii U. Advanced Warfare is not being made for them whatsoever. And it's like, okay, well, that's a good majority of your fan base. And the Wii U is actually a pretty powerful console as well. I mean, it could definitely handle it. It handled COD Ghost and it handled Black Ops 2 pretty damn well. I don't know why they wouldn't think Advanced Warfare would be able to run on that, especially if it can run on the 360 and on the PlayStation 3, considering that the Wii U is actually stronger than the 360 and the PlayStation 3. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to be able to cut them from that. And then to give an update, which is a pretty major update to everyone on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, but not give it to the people that are playing on the 360 and the PlayStation 3. I wonder if there's some kind of corporate tie-ins on this. That's something I've been wondering. Of course, I have no proof. It's just speculation, but it's like, why in the world do you go ahead and give the update to them faster? You're going through the exact same people. You know, you're going through Microsoft, you're going through Sony to push these updates through. You've already pushed them through for the Xbox One on the PlayStation 4. Why are they not going through at the exact same time on the Xbox 360 and on the PlayStation 3? They did that with Ghost on Call of Duty Ghost. When an update came through, all the platforms got it on the exact same day. But here with Advanced Warfare, the one update that we've gotten so far really kind of shit the bed, didn't it? It really kind of just gave it to half of its fan base, but it just kind of excluded the other half of the fan base. Now, it really doesn't make sense as to how they would do that. Now, one of the things that people are pointing out to me, and it kind of makes sense in a way, was that Sledgehammer Games did not actually create, quote-unquote, Advanced Warfare for the 360 on the PlayStation 3. Well, I do say that they did go ahead and make the game. Of course, they actually made Advanced Warfare, but they hired an entire different studio to go ahead and port the game, be able to make it so it can actually run on the 360 and run on the PlayStation 3. Now, an entire separate studio went ahead and did that because they wanted to develop Advanced Warfare Next Gen first. And that makes sense, but I'm wondering why in the world, just because a different team ported it, does that mean that Sledgehammer had to make the update, and then they had to send that update over to their sister studio, or whoever it was that was working on the ports to the 360 and the PlayStation 3, and then those people had to do a port of the update to be able to make it work or something like that, and then they had to send it to Microsoft? Like, that doesn't make sense as to how that would work. You would think an update is an update, and it's a very simple thing that you could go ahead and do. All they really need to do is change around some code in there and say, okay, well, no longer is it 400 long shots, now it's 80. All you had to do is really change a few lines of text right there. Not even lines, just a few simple numbers. You know, you wouldn't think it would be something that would take a week. And what I'm worried that is happening here is that they're actually going ahead and they're trying to push everybody to go ahead and be able to purchase a next-gen console, because they know Call of Duty is a big seller. They know Call of Duty is the kind of game that sells millions of consoles. It sells millions of copies every single year. A lot of people, like in my little group of friends, as well as people I see here on YouTube, a lot of people just like to play Call of Duty. That is their game. I'm sure they play some other games, but Call of Duty is their game. And when they heard that, you know, the next-gen consoles we have a better version of Call of Duty, that might be enough for some people to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm sold. I'm finally going to go out and purchase the next-gen console so I can have a better better experience while playing my favorite video game. And I think some people might be doing that. I think one of the reasons that they're kind of pushing this update late is perhaps they're like, oh, well, if they're going to constantly just give updates faster to the next-gen consoles, perhaps I'll buy a next-gen console. This is pretty similar to what Microsoft did when they basically bought out Activision, and they said, hey, you guys, how about we strike a little deal here and Xbox people get the DLC first, huh? That sound good? Here's a couple $1 million. There you go. Have some of that. And they did that. And then because of that, for years and years, like as far back as I can remember, ever since, I'm not sure about World at War, but I know for a fact during Modern Warfare 2 this was relevant. People on the Xbox would get their DLC a month before people on the PlayStation. You're just excluding half your fan base just for more money. And it really makes no sense. So I'm worried that what's happening here is that they're actually going to be giving updates later to people that are playing on the 360 and people that are playing on the PlayStation 3 solely for the fact that they want those people to go ahead and buy next-gen consoles. I wonder if that's something that's in the works there. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they would do such a thing and exclude half their fan base. If their honest goal, their honest objective is to make a good game to be enjoyed by all and not just, you know, screw over a bunch of people, then they should be doing that. And if their objective is just to make as much money as possible, then I guess they could go ahead and try and do this, because if somehow people at Microsoft, people at Sony are somehow paying them to do this, I have no idea the case. I have no idea what's going on with it, but it really seems that way, doesn't it? The fact that people on last-gen consoles end up getting the update a week after, or even maybe a little bit over a week after everyone else got it for the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4. So I have no idea, but that is pretty crappy. I did ask, I've been periodically asking you guys, because I don't own a 360 version of the game. I already own an Xbox One version of the game. Why would I buy a 360 version and play on 2 different consoles or anything like that? So I didn't know firsthand, but I've been periodically asking you guys on Twitter. You guys said the update finally went through this morning. You guys actually have it. Everything's hunky-dory, and it's great. And that's great that's finally happened. I'm glad that you guys are able to go ahead and get your camos. You guys are able to go ahead and actually have fair challenges for a change, actually be able to acquire your stuff. Like, there's some people out there, they just want their camos, you know, and for a week there, they're like, well, there's no real point even trying for my camos, because it just seems like a waste of time at this point, you know, because there's just so many go for to be able to acquire them. But you guys are finally able to do that. The update is finally fully through, and that's pretty great. But I gotta say, man, I would just like to point out that it is kind of weird that the people on last-gen consoles ended up getting the update over a week later than anyone else ended up getting it on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4. So I don't know. I'm just pointing it out there. I just want a little bit of transparency. It could be nothing. It could be nothing. At the end of the day, I just want a little bit more transparency. I made an entire video ranting about video game transparency with the people at Rockstar and how it's been over 400 days since the game came out, and they still have not yet released heists, even though they've kind of promised that kind of thing in pre-game launch trailers. And same thing went over to Bethesda and ZeniMax with their Elder Scrolls Online, which is another game I ended up playing a lot of. But they basically promised a console release of the game, and then they delayed it, and then they haven't said a single word about it since they've delayed it. And now there's always people who are like, well, can we just get an update? Is there some time maybe? Can we get an update as to when we can possibly expect, you know, a console release like Xbox One and PlayStation 4 for this new game? It's a new Elder Scrolls game. There's millions of fans of it, but nobody is being transparent with it whatsoever. And that's all I want from Sledgehammer. That's all I want from Activision. A little bit of transparency. Just come out and say, if it's like what I talked about earlier in the video, where you guys have to make the update and then you have to send it down to another studio, then they have to basically port that update so it works on the 360 and the PlayStation 3, and then you have to put it through the review process that Microsoft and Sony give with any update to any game. If you have to do all of that, and that's the reason why the update was late, let us know. We would all understand that. We would definitely all understand that. We would sympathize with you, and everything would be fine. But as of right now, you haven't said a single word about it, and right now all we can expect is maybe you're just trying to push the sales of more next-gen consoles or something like that, or maybe you're just trying to screw over half your community to be able to sell more consoles. I mean, doesn't make any sense, doesn't even make sense. But regardless, I do hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys all found it helpful and informative. More of a rant, more venting in this video than anything. But still, I thought I would get that off my chest, kind of open your eyes to some things you guys may not have thought about before, and just kind of call out Sledgehammer, kind of call out Activision, say, guys, we would really, really like some transparency when it comes to our video games. All game developers, we would really like some transparency as to the updates and as to the current status of our games, rather than you guys just being some kind of like anonymous people out in the distance that don't really ever say anything besides buy our game and retweet pictures of people buying your game and stuff like that. So do that. That would definitely be great. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.